Welcome to Suthichai Live English. My guest today, Kun Suranan Vechachiwa. He was formerly a media person. Then he became ambitious and he became a politician. And then he became Secretary General to the Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra. Now he's back to his real passion, and that is to be a restaurant owner. And I think he finds happiness in that. And of course, sometimes I think he still is quite passionate about politics and about the media. So I'm not sure what he is today. Let us ask him. Hi, Kun Suranan.
Good afternoon, Kun Suthichai ครับ
Good afternoon. So
I'm a restaurant, but in this kind of economy, I don't suggest anyone to become one.
No?
No, everybody asks me, I want to be a coffee shop owner like you.
Right.
I say, no, please, don't get into this business.
No?
But actually, well, it is a passion. But since COVID, everything changed. I think you see the whole world.
Uh-huh.
You look at major cities, you see cafes in major cities.
Yeah.
It's all changed.
All changed. Yeah.
All changed. All the chain restaurants, some famous ones in the US don't survive.
No.
And it's really hard to get service workers these days.
I know.
People change their behavior.
Yeah.
We depend more on delivery, which cut into our margins largely.
Yeah.
That means that, if anyone is in the food business knows that if you have a 10% profit margin, you're very good.
Yeah.
Now, if you get cut by delivery and things like that, then you have to cut costs.
Yeah.
You have to cut the manpower and everything.
Yeah.
But, you have to try to survive.
But you survived COVID. How did you do it? You're still here.
Well, actually, I didn't, to tell you the truth.
You didn't. But
I was very ambitious before COVID.
I see.
I had 10 branches.
I see.
All around Bangkok. And through COVID, we have to close down 8 of it.
Wow, really?
Yeah, only 2 is left. And the 2 is basically, because 1 is on my own land, on my own property.
I see.
And the other one is one of the shareholders. So, if you have a land, well, I have actually good landlords in the other place, and they understand in terms of crisis. You have to reduce the rent and everything. But so financially, I didn't survive. I have to apologize to the shareholders at the shareholders meeting that, but everybody understand.
Of course.
And I thought it would take only 5 years when I started the business, or 6 years when I started the business to get the money returned to the investors. Now I have asked for another 7 years. So I'll be working.
Working hard, huh?
Yes.
Any idea or any thought of going back to politics?
Never say never. I told you before.
Never.
But I doubt it. I'm 63 now. I have been in the cabinet with Kun Thaksin. I have been Secretary General with Kun Yingluck.
Yes.
And I have been a party list MP sitting in Parliament for the full 4 years.
Yes.
So in terms of political experience, there are a lot of other people who have more than I do. But I have seen what I need to see.
Right.
And when you were young, you think you can change everything, right? And then you get older. I don't know wiser or not, but you know that you can't change.
I know.
You can change the things you want to change. I still have hopes for the younger generation.
Yeah.
And the up and coming. I can probably mention now, the Progressive Move Forward Party.
Yeah.
Which when I did Thai with Kun Thaksin 20 years back, Suthichai, that's 20 years some years ago.
Right.
They were a progressive party too. Yeah. But now Move Forward is a real progressive party. And I think I wish them luck. They're gonna face a lot of uphill battle and political barriers.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
Well, they're still young and they still have a long way to go. Unlike your generation, my generation, we are closer to the other side of the bank of the river than side.
But still, I think Suthichai and I,
Uh-huh.
we have known each other, and you know my father very well,
Yes, yes.
and I think we think the same way. I mean, I think like the Westerners, philosophers, you want to leave this world a better place where you found it.
Yes, yes, exactly. This is
So
what,
you try your best.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yes. This is what keeps us alive every day when we wake up, and then
Yes,
yeah,
yes. Even through commentary like this, or as
uh,
a coffee shop owner, that people still drop by and see
yeah,
me.
yeah. That I think is one
Mhm.
of the privileges of a restaurant owner. You sit there, people come to you. You just
Yes, and I
uh,
have a choice of meeting them, or I
yeah.
say I'm not there.
Yeah, you have the choice of
But
choosing.
I try to talk to both sides, and
Yeah,
when you're out of politics, people tend to be more open to you.
yeah, I know. I know.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So you either open a restaurant or a barber shop to get people to talk about politics, right?
Maybe or
Uh-huh.
now a foot massage place,
Yeah,
maybe
foot massage. Yeah, that would be a good place to start talking about politics in private,
in
and
private.
yeah, and not getting quoted. You can
Uh-huh.
open up your heart, and
But
then
then I can bring their opinions to you.
yes, of course, that's the whole idea.
Uh-huh.
that's, that's the whole idea of being, listening to all this gossips, analysis, and then we can exchange ideas. But
Mhm.
anyway, we still have hope. And also we would continue to comment on politics, on social events, and on the future of the country.
I
So
think that's our responsibility.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think at least our experience, good or bad,
Yes.
should be what
Especially the bad ones, Kun Suthichai.
I know.
And I think Kun Suthichai, you have written a few books. I
Yes,
myself haven't. But I think I'm thinking of one, because
you should.
some of the things you cannot say, but
Mhm.
I feel like I like the more open minded
Mhm.
Westerners, where they can write memoirs.
Yeah,
Read right or wrong, you people learn from reading.
right,
And
right.
you read a lot of
Mhm.
politicians work, or their lives,
Yeah.
or their thoughts,
Mhm.
and I think that's the way that the next generation will not repeat our mistakes.
That's true. That's true.
Mhm.
That don't do what we did and
Uh-huh.
concentrate on the new things and be.
But Thai politicians don't read much, so they are repeating they're repeating all the mistakes. I'm sorry to say that.
I know, I know, I know. So, how is today's politics? Now you have a new cabinet. Prime Minister Srettha
Mhm.
has just reshuffled the cabinet, and have been a few, you know, explosions, including
Yes,
the resignation,
yes,
the an unexpected sudden resignation of Kun Panpri
Mhm.
Paithanukon from the new position as foreign minister only. He was
yes.
deputy prime minister and foreign minister, and then suddenly said, "No, I cannot carry out my duties if I am reduced." I don't think he used that word, but I think that was what he meant. Is I was reduced to be just foreign minister.
Mhm.
What kind of impact do you think that will have?
I think it's quite damaging. And let's go back to the reshuffle.
Yeah,
I was surprised. I mean, there have been news for like 2 or 3 months, right? 2 months at
yeah,
least,
yeah.
that there'll be a reshuffle, and it's only 6 to 7 months
Mhm.
for Seth's administration.
Mhm.
They just barely passed actually last year's fiscal budget,
Right,
and it's working on the next year's fiscal budget.
right.
I mean, the expenditure haven't really been even dispersed
Mhm.
in a lot of ministries or
Mhm.
a lot of agencies.
No.
So everybody thinks that, whoever is the cabinet position
Mhm.
should be able to prove themselves in that position for at least a year. Even I thought it should be at least a year.
Right.
And Kun Srettha being a CEO himself, he might feel that he said he have KPI on the ministers, and suddenly, he didn't even have to announce those KPIs. He have reshuffled and moved at least two person that has controversies, right? The public health minister, Dr. Cholanan, and of course Dr. Panpri, which is a surprise to me, because I think they should have a chance to work more. And doing the reshuffle now, any cabinet reshuffle, I think Kun Suthichai, we have seen in the past, when the administration start this cabinet reshuffle, they hope that it will lengthen that time.
Right, that was the idea.
In government or doing work in the government, but usually it shortens it. Once you start reshuffle, then you have to another reshuffle again, and then you start creating more enemies.
Right.
Because people who are reshuffled out,
right,
it's very bitter.
Right.
I mean, I heard rumors that most of them are very bitter, and a lot of them were asking, well, and the person who comes into their place, what did they do?
It's
like Dr. Pranpri was asking, basically, what did I do wrong?
Right.
And who came into my place?
Yeah.
What did they do to deserve that?
Okay.
Basically, that's the question, and that's the question every time there's a reshuffle. So this time around, I think if we could say, I think the Prime Minister miscalculated. But of course, we know it's not only the Prime Minister that makes the decision. So I give him sympathy, but he have to be responsible, because he is the former head of government, and in the royal decree, he's the one who countersigned, the royal proclamation. So, I mean, the king can do no wrong. So we are a system of constitution monarchy. The Prime Minister is responsible for appointing or taking people out, or appointing the cabinet, and that's the way it is. So Prime Minister Srettha, we have to live with the consequences, which, looking at his face during press conference in these past 2 days, he's not too happy. Actually, he hasn't been too happy for the past 2 weeks,
Why is the Prime Minister so expressive, so to say? You can look at his face and you know how he feels?
Well, this goes back, because so a lot of people may not know, I knew the Prime Minister since he was in college.
Oh, really?
Yes. I was he went to the same primary school as I do, the Prasan Mit, and then we met again during college. He was a year younger than me. I was at Williams in Massachusetts, and he went to UMass Amherst. So a lot of times when I go into Boston and have this little old car, so I drive and pick him up and to Boston together. And then I went to Columbia, and he went to Claremont, actually. So he went to Claremont, which actually, Dr. Panpri's graduate school too.
Yeah.
And Pitak, actually, everybody knows him. So we were close. So I know the Prime Minister personally. I have never worked with him, so I have to give him credit. I cannot judge him on my just basic of my knowing him personally, but you can see it in his face, or you can see it in. I have worked with a lot of prime ministers, and I can see the prime minister's face when they give interviews at what is troubling them, right? When I was with Kun Yingluck, it's more special because I know what was troubling her, because I was her head of staff.
Because you were one of the troublemakers for her, so
well, I was one to clear. I cleared a lot of trouble for her, but in any way, it is tough. It is tough. It's not your company.
Right.
I think Kun Srettha has to learn the hard way that it is not his company. The politicians are politicians. Kun Srettha eng, the prime minister, doesn't have any base
No.
of member of parliament at all. He became the prime minister candidate without ever passing through, the party hardworking apparatus of MPs, getting to know MPs. So, and then he also never ran or was a technocrat. He was never in government as a technocrat. I was lucky during my early days. I was a technocrat in the NESDB. So when I became minister, actually, I know a lot of people in those agencies, and I got good cooperation. But they're not your subordinate. They are your subordinates, but they're not your what you call employees. Right. So Kun Srettha cannot expect that the politicians will turn right and left.
No.
If you cannot convince them, and maybe this will go also. What is discrediting him now is the scolding of the technocrats. And the bureaucrats in front of TV and in front of other people. I mean, ties. I think the same with other people. You don't want to lose face. So that scolding, that kind of scolding, maybe you can do in your company, but you cannot do with director general of a large department, which just resigned.
Right.
So these things are, I think the prime minister is learning the hard way.
I think for him it was a double trouble, because with Kun Panpri resigning so abruptly, and then the general of the industrial factory also resigning. One side is the politician, the other side is the bureaucrat. So he's caught in the middle, as you said. He doesn't have any support from the MPs, or it doesn't get ingrained with the MPs, and then he has a problem getting the bureaucrats to follow him.
So now I think the challenge for the new foreign minister, Kun Marit, which I know well too, because he worked with Kun Thaksin and I know him very well. He's also a career diplomat, but he's gonna have a lot of what you call consolation with and working in coordination with the diplomats in the foreign ministry, who actually were very happy with Dr. Panpri.
For some reason, although he had not been working at the foreign ministry before, but he somehow...
His father did.
His father.
Yes, just like my father. Actually, his grandfather too, better than me.
Right.
And Kun Panpri was with the Rush crew family. So, work with General Suthichai Chunawan before, who was foreign minister at one time.
It's true. That's true.
I
think there was a comparison between Kun Don Paramatwinai, his predecessor, and Kun Panpri. You have to, everything is relative. Before Kun Panpri, as Kun Don was sort of the old bureaucrat. See?
Yes.
Kun
Don is just a super permanent secretary. He was permanent secretary of the foreign minister, and then become minister and deputy prime minister.
Right.
Okay, he's like a super the deputy support the permanent secretary. But actually, when you talk about Kun Don, in the end, General Prayut has to gave Kun Don the deputy prime minister position, because I think Kun Panpri has this reason, which is I think legitimate, that in negotiations these days, being a deputy prime minister and foreign minister does give credibility. And when he was deputy prime minister, I think he also oversees of course NESDB, but more importantly with the trade and investment is the board of investment. So Kun Panpri can go and say, I'm pushing this economic agenda for the government, and I can say fully because BOI, I'm the economic deputy prime minister and and foreign minister. So once he was reduced to just living with foreign minister, it's hard to go back. It's hard to go back. I mean, there's going to be a lot of. I mean, I imagine you walk into a cocktail party and everybody say, "Hey, what happened to you?
What did you do wrong?
What did you do? You now just for." I mean, maybe it's just a joke or maybe it's just a conversation opener, but you have to feel insecure.
Oh.
I mean, I grow up in that atmosphere. My father I have to be a boy running around the cocktail party, and when I was with a lot of government, I went to all these parties, and then certain things are important.
I know, but and especially when he had this title of deputy prime minister and foreign minister, when he went out to negotiate with other countries, and then if in the new cabinet he became just foreign minister, all those people he had contact with would start asking, you are now just foreign minister?
Yes.
Might have done something wrong, I mean, it's not easy for you to face up to those people and other governments.
And it may even, I think Kun Pampri expressed this in one of his interviews, and I think it's true, it may be even harder to get into certain doors, especially, a foreign secretary of the large countries. I mean, if you're just foreign minister, Thailand is not on everybody's radar as you think, right? So in large countries like even China or the States, maybe they say, then if you're foreign minister, you just meet the assistant secretary.
Yeah, or director general, or
Yes. So these certain things are very. I mean, I didn't join the diplomatic corps because I didn't like these things, because the protocols are so much. But it does matter. It does matter.
It does. But there must be other reasons, because if Prime Minister Srettha knew that he was going to just give Kun Pampri the foreign minister's position and not the deputy prime minister, he must explain personally first to Kun Pampri. What Kun Pampri told reporters, they talked on Friday. It was announced on Sunday, right? But it was a very brief encounter. Something like, if I interpreted his statement right, he said, the prime minister said, I'm going to reshuffle the cabinet. Kun Pampri said, yes, okay. He didn't ask about himself, assuming that if there was going to be any change, the prime minister would tell him. So when the prime minister didn't say anything, he said, thank you. And he said, you just walk away. So can we assume that Kun Srettha mishandled this? Did he know or did he not know?
I'm gonna get into a bad position on my opinion on this one. I think that's a communication gap. Since I know both people, quite well actually. I mean, I sincerely doubt Kun Srettha will not say it.
It is said. You think
because I don't know what's happened, but it is between two people.
Right.
But Kun Srettha, his style, and you can see his style on TV too. He will just say anything, and as a CEO, I think he will tell what happened, what he's going to do. But at the same time, it's hard to judge because Kun Pampri has no reason to lie. Kun Pampri is such a gentleman.
Yeah. And so if he didn't like it, he should have said it.
He could have said it.
And he said, I can't take it. Sorry, take my name out. Take my name out, the whole list out, because I don't want to offend you by resigning afterwards.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is a gap there. There's a gap somewhere between Kun Srettha, what Kun Srettha should have said and Kun Pampri should have heard.
Right.
Right? So there are other conspiracy theories such as Kun Srettha Kun Srettha thought that someone very important have already told Kun Panpri.
That was also my conspiracy theory as well.
But in the end, didn't.
Didn't.
So
the other guy thought that no, I don't have to tell him. He would just take my word for it because we had known each other for a long time. He had worked for me for a long time. He would understand. I think.
Yes. But but Kun Srettha had to accept the responsibility.
I know.
And in the end, he's the prime minister. And if he said it and Kun Panpri resigned, then Kun Panpri will resign anyway. But if he didn't say it, it's I don't know. Kun Panpri have prepared the letter.
Yes.
So when it was announced, Kun Panpri just resigned.
In fact, Kun Panpri showed this letter to the reporters before he sent it officially to the government.
Yes. I think that's a bit unfair to the prime minister, to tell you the truth. Because you have to tell you can at the same time, at least at the same time of sending it to the prime minister, calling him up and say that, okay, I'm gonna release this. I think that would be a better way, but it happened. That means that's this mysterious gap of communication.
But I suspect that he gave his letter to the reporters before he sent it officially to the government house was so that he didn't have to talk to the prime minister again. That he didn't want to get a call and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, let's talk over this." Because he knew that the explosion is not going to be at the government house. It's going to explode at the Ban Chan Song La as well at the same time. What? How could he do this? This is not going to be good news to the big bosses.
But then that's another conspiracy today. The rumors is that actually they wanted Panpri out.
Okay.
So any foreigners listen to us will probably know, because they're probably most expat in this country. We already know that these kind of things happen in Thailand.
It happens. Yes. But then it is going to be difficult for Kun Marit Sengyampong, the new foreign minister.
Yes.
Because I don't know. It's very strange. If you are known to be close to the big boss, is it easy or is it difficult for you to perform your task?
I think in this time, this period, I mean, when you talk about Kun Thaksin, for me, he's my former boss, but he's also a political phenomenon, so he comes and goes. Kun Suthichai, that he started as a finance and what you call business tycoon.
Yeah.
That Thai has called the name Asawin Klun Lukที่ 3, the third wave tycoon. Right. When he launched the satellite. And then he became prime minister, a very popular prime minister in Thai, and the coup, and then all these political infightings. And I think right now Kun Thaksin is not in the same popular position or popular base as before, even 10 years ago. Right now he is in a new position, coming back to the country, accepting the royal pardon, and now I think he still wants to establish his Pheu Thai base, at least for his daughter. So, but there are people who are questioning him a lot.
Yes.
Questioning him why is he doing this? What is he doing? And is it helpful to the country like he thinks he would like to think, or not? So Kun Marit he was a diplomat who he was in the foreign ministry, who followed Kun Thaksin before as a aide de camp, and now then he became ambassador to a lot of countries. But Kun Marit of course is not seen, is considered one of the diplomats, but not the senior ones. The senior ones have to pass through, of course, Washington D.C., Tokyo, Beijing, or Paris. And I was surprised because if I have a choice, I'm not going to be prime minister, but if I have a choice, I would pick Kun Srettha Phongket Kaew.
It's more senior.
Yeah, which is already helping Kun Panpri as advisor, and Kun Srettha was permanent secretary, ambassador to Tokyo, ambassador to Paris, was with the whole human rights international organization before. So, I mean, it would help in terms of building credibility for Thailand. And you need a senior diplomat.
But that means you don't understand Kun Thaksin.
I understand Kun Thaksin. That's why I know it. That's why he's not going to be selected. But Kun Srettha, during Kun Thaksin's time, Kun Srettha was Kun Thaksin's speechwriter.
Really?
Yes, but he goes abroad. So those were the days, I mean, the time changes, and I think Kun Thaksin probably would like someone who he trusts, and who doesn't question him. I mean, Kun Srettha will have certain loyalty, but Kun Srettha is his own man.
I know.
And then he may have different opinions on, Myanmar, or what's going on in Myanmar, or the relationship between Israel and Arab and everything, which is all the sensitive issues. But Kun Marit, will he be able to handle that? I don't know.
It takes time. If you really want to learn, it takes time. But then.
But there's no learning curve here. There's no. This is not on the job training.
You have 6 months at most to prove yourself.
Let me get off this just for 1 second. I have to let my dog out the door.
Okay.
He's looking at my face before he starts barking.
Okay. Well, this is my program, and it's flexible, and the format is, anything goes as long as it's interesting. And Kun Suranan is at home, and we are sort of sitting down and chatting about the.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, great.
Without anyone knocking at my door that I said anything wrong or what.
No.
But Kun Marit, I mean, I'm worried. I'm worried about the foreign policy of Thailand. Not because of Kun Marit, but Kun Suthichai, you have been following everything, and you know that these days the prime minister may concentrate on economic, trying to build economic credibility and bring in investment. But the foreign policy of Thailand right now is on two legs. It becomes in a very different atmosphere than when all the issues are just economics and free trade agreements and things like that. It depends a lot on security issues.
Yeah.
And of course, economic issues and security issues goes together. So if the foreign ministry or the prime minister doesn't have a full understanding of the issues and create a real strategic positioning for Thailand in both, defense, security, and economic trade, it's going to be very hard. I was happy when Kun Panpri was foreign minister, in a way that I know he understands all this issue, and he had the trust of the technocrats, the foreign ministry, so that will help him. But now there'll be a challenge for the new minister, and the prime minister himself. I heard he's going to go on roadshows again.
I know. I see the itinerary, and he's going everywhere in the country again.
and I guess that's how he has to work. I mean, I don't blame him, but at the same time, there are things that you cannot just wait for the fire to come and then just put out the fire. You would really have to work your way through, the not only South China Sea, but Indian Ocean is going to be a contested area.
Yes, I think the Houthis shot some shipping, some commercial vessels in the Indian Ocean the other day.
Yes.
All the way from the Red Sea, now it's the Indian Ocean.
And as you see, Kun Thaksin in Phuket, the Prime Minister is in Phuket all the time, and Phuket is our economic jewel down on the Andaman side. Now, if there is anything happen in the Indian Ocean, don't think it won't affect Phuket, right?
No, definitely.
Billionaires' yachts come and park a lot in Phuket, and if they cannot travel and we don't have the Navy to defend our territorial there, or at least to safeguard people who comes and use our waters in terms of trade and tourism. It's gonna be it ties very much together.
Very much so. Very much. Another thing is the attitude of Kun Thaksin, which I think will have influence over Kun Marit's performance. Kun Sihasak and Pan Pri, they were both quite open-minded about criticism. Fuadi of the new Move Forward Party just told me that Kun Sihasak had been talking to the Move Forward Party about foreign policy. He was listening to them.
Yes.
But I think Kun Thaksin, now that he thinks that Cao Klai, the Move Forward Party, is Pheu Thai's rival, that would not happen with Kun Marit. Marit would not cross that line. But it was important for Kun Pan Pri and Sihasak to listen to all the stakeholders in the Myanmar.
I think so too. And on the other side too, Kun Suthichai, I know Kun Sutin Klangsang very well, and he's a nice guy. He's a good politician, but he's not the defense minister, and not a defense minister in this dangerous times. I still think that any other, even an army general, for example, General Kwanatapon, who's a secretary to the defense minister, will be a good defense minister. I mean, the prime minister needs not only through just the head of the Joint Chief of Staff, but through the defense minister, which can set policy. And when you go around ASEAN, the defense minister is very important. There are a lot of forums where the defense ministers are meeting, and it is an important forum in these times. So the reshuffle doesn't work out in a way that everybody, at least the public, expect that the reshuffle will kind of, I mean, in an ideal world, you shake something up and make it better. Put the right man or the right woman or the right person on the job. But it became worse, I think.
But for some reason, General Natapon was not on the list of the new cabinet, despite the fact that his name was, in the air.
Yeah.
Of course, but somehow he was rejected. Do you know why?
I don't know. I don't believe the argument that the red shirts are against him and things like that.
No.
I think that's just a show. But maybe there is still a mistrust of General Natapon, because General Natapon has been very close to General Prayut Chan-o-cha. But if you look at, maybe I cannot say I'm biased, because I know all the people that are talking, including General Natapon. I think General Natapon is a professional soldier, and the point that he has been Secretary General to the Security Council. That will help. That if he's defense minister, I think he'll be able to help the prime minister a lot more than Kun Sutin.
course. Kun Suthin could have been a good coordinator between Parliament and the defense.
Yes. And but Kun Sutin would be also better cultural minister or education minister, right? Because he was a teacher.
Yeah.
And his interest is in that area too.
I know. He was ready to be shifted to education, although somehow at the last minute things change back.
Well, at least he's not shifted out, so he should be happy on that one.
But there is a question about General Natapon. He was supposed to be close to General Prayut, and this deal, Kun Thaksin's so-called, big deal, grand deal, involves a compromise between him and General Prayut. So why not General Natapon?
I have no idea. I think when you have these deals, that we are very outsider on these deals, right? There could be
and I'm happy that I'm an outsider. Otherwise, I would be affected in trying to.
And it's not a deal. It's not a contract signed in stone.
Oh, no.
So the deal changes, and there could be a no deal, or the condition changes.
I know.
I don't know, but we are worried too. I mean, I think you and I and a lot of other people have concerns about the so-called deal and no deal or whatever, because it's a supernatural force above regular democratic politics.
Yeah.
Right. So this one at the same time, it makes the power of the people who, in an ideal democracy, elected representatives, and in a parliamentary system, elected a prime minister, the power that the people give to the House of Representatives and then give to the prime minister should be in the prime minister's hand.
Right.
But there are forces outside the prime minister's hands. There are, I mean, other countries also have it. I mean, Singapore at one time have Lee Kuan Yew was still a senior cabinet minister.
But they made it open.
They made it open.
When Lee Kuan Yew was senior minister, and you see him saying things,
Hence, being in Thailand, then you have what you call spiritual leader. Spiritual leader of this party, Pheu Thai party, is of course that is Kun Thaksin, right? Then you have a spiritual leader of Phum Chai Thai, which is Kun Nevin Chichop.
Everywhere, yes.
So this is the Thai style.
Spiritual leaders should remain spiritual. That's the
well, they are transforming themselves to be real physical now.
Physical, yeah. Yeah. So this is our concern, and that is that the young generation would look at Thai politics and say, "Is this real? Is this the kind of politics we will be inheriting after this? What the changes we demand or hope for will not take place if the power that be is so complicated, and we don't know who is making what decisions. When we want to say something, to who do we talk to? How do we present our ideas? Where is the forum for our opinions? It's sort of, I think that.
And of course, going back to technocrats, a lot of technocrats are complaining, who should I listen to? Who should I receive the order from?
Yeah.
And this is going to be continuous problem within this government. And if anything happens to this government, hopefully, there'll be democratic process,
right?
That changes it. But if it becomes a deadlock again, then we are looking at certain things that we don't want to see happen in this century.
I know. Also, another complication would be in the economic cabinet, so-called, with the new deputy prime minister and finance minister, Kun Pichai. And he's supposed to be the economic czar for the new cabinet. Then you have Kun Srettha as prime minister, who is very keen on economics too.
Yes.
And you have Kun Thaksin, who is very keen on economics too. He wants to boost the economy. And you have the whole team. Now you have 3 deputy finance.
I have to add to you too. You have Kun Suriya, who's the transport minister, but also deputy prime minister. So if Kun Pishit, right? Pichai.
Pichai.
Kun Pichai, the deputy prime minister, economic deputy prime minister, wants to do anything about infrastructure project. Could he order the deputy prime minister, Kun Suriya?
Oh, yeah, that's the main problem.
That's gonna be something that's tricky too, in a way.
Yeah.
So all this coming together, who are you going to listen to?
That's the main issue. And also not to mention the fact that this is a coalition government. The agriculture ministry, which is of course an important economic portfolio, belongs to the
Palang Pracharat.
Then you have the energy minister under the
Rwam Thai Sang Chat.
And energy is, of course, very important for the economic portfolio.
And very lucrative.
Very lucrative.
So agriculture is important too.
Yeah, agriculture.
So, you know, I mean, I said this yesterday with another interview that during General Prem's era, Dr. Sunat Unakul was Secretary General to the NESDB then, and then they worked out in economic cabinet or economic ministers, a committee, which will resolve certain economic issues, because it's even General Prem, you know, I mean, he roses above politics, but it's a coalition government. So in a coalition government, there has to be certain body that clear out all these economic inconsistencies or maybe even, you know, confrontation between certain projects before it goes to the cabinet.
Or conflict of interest.
Yes. I mean, and then they will be able to speak to one voice, and then all the association and the Chamber of Commerce and the Industrial Association will know where to put their concerns, or lodge their concerns, or lodge their problems. But I don't know if Kun Srettha wants that, or Kun Thaksin wants that, because at the same time, as you said, both of them are very active in this area and would like to perform in a way that it's their show. It's their show.
During General Prem's time, there was this special feature. He had some non-partisan ministers work very close with him.
Yes.
Mahasantana.
Yes.
And finance minister was Kun Suthi
Singh
or Somha Kuntukun at one time.
Yes.
So he had sort of a kitchen cabinet of his own.
Yes.
Trust that would not be too politicized, and that would check on all the coalition partners, coordinate or supervise whatever is needed to be done. So he could trust his inner circle to make sure that the coordination takes place properly. But this government is all politicians.
It's all politicians. Actually, you know, Kun Suthichai, if you give Kun Thaksin credit when he won the first election, I think the constitution, 1997 constitution, was very good, because there's a party list MPs, and the party list is supposed to show the people who will be cabinet ministers. So during Kun Thaksin's first term, he was able to appoint certain people from that party list, which are actually, you know, more technocrats or academics. For example, Dr. Somkit Jatusi-Pitak or Kun Kasem Watanachai and all those people.
Remember that, yeah. And that was a good start.
That worked. Yeah. I think it's the way we design the system. But now I think the constitution becomes, you know, breaking up political parties to smaller political parties, and breaking up parties again. So the election system doesn't really help consolidating power. because the writers of the constitution were so afraid of Kun Thaksin regaining power again. So they have to break up.
Yeah.
And now they can't deny him because he's back.
He's back now. Somehow he's back.
Somehow he's back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the main concern now, apart from foreign policy, is economic.
It's economic. It's much more so too.
Much more, yeah.
For the people at the grassroots. I mean, as a coming back as a restaurant, and we are talking to a lot of people who are in the food business, you know, and we met a lot of people who do small and medium-sized enterprises, even street food, in Bangkok. Especially if in Bangkok there are problems, and in the provinces there are a lot of problems, and you know, this year's climate change with the heat, a lot of agricultural products will be destroyed. I think Turian. I talked to my cousin in Canterbury. You know, if it doesn't rain before the 15th of May, then it's all gone.
A whole harvest for this.
The whole harvest. And I think that I saw on the news that certain harvests are already gone, already lost.
Yeah.
So the government will have their hands full with people out of jobs, and then the harvest is not good. They could claim that the price is high because there's no supply, but
the price goes up because
the price goes up.
Yeah.
Right. But that's
but then, you know, some of the decisions made by this government tend to be quite incomplete, I would say, to be kind about it. But the handout, the 10,000 baht handout, and now yesterday the announcement by Kun Anutin, the Deputy Prime Minister, that the Prime Minister has given him order to announce to the laborers on May 1st that 400 baht will be in effect, the minimum wage. The minimum wage will be in effect throughout the country at the same rate on October 1st. I think that is going to be another disaster because,
of course,
because number one, it has been pointed out that this is a tripartite committee. You cannot just the government announcing anything about the minimum wage without giving the approval from the
party.
Party. You see, then suddenly, I'm sure Kun Thaksin is impatient. Said, announce it. You know,
I don't know if Kun Thaksin or not, but it's a very populist policy, both of them, and all the policies are populist policies. And you know, I mean, we know that in terms of economics, handouts these days, whatever kind, is not feasible. Not feasible. And there are certain things that I think the Prime Minister is not really well understand about macroeconomics. So you know, the argument with the Bank of Thailand on the interest rate, and now if they want to reduce the interest rate but increase the wages, they'll be able to control the inflation. And these are things that ties all together, which, I mean, when you go into a populist policy or even a welfare state policy, you tend to forget that, you know, there are consequences. There is a cost for everything. And right now, the 10,000 baht, which I don't agree at all, has taken up the government time and resources to do, when they actually right now have to concentrate on restructuring the economy for the future. You know, I mean, of course, like good news, like, you know, Microsoft investing here, but Microsoft is creating a big network everywhere. So they're investing in every city in around here. That's their target. But of course, it's good for us. But at the same time, it's not, you know, creating new skilled labors, creating AI, talking about solar panels, energy conservation, energy security, food security. It's just all piecemeal. And then the government now invests heavily on the 10,000 baht, which has a lot of opposition and might not even be legal to create this new
There will be
with
legal
new currency,
Yeah.
right? This digital currency is a contradiction to the law on monetary law, which the Bank of Thailand is the one who issues the fiat money that we're using, the paper money that we're using. And they should know, because the Minister of Finance also have that signature with the Governor of Bank of Thailand on every banknote.
Right.
Kun Srettha already have his
Right. Well,
right?
History has been made. History has been made. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, but then if they don't understand that this is, they cannot create a new currency.
Currency.
And that's what I think deep down, what is the Bank of Thailand is worrying. Apart from all that, I think the government should concentrate more on putting the whatever they can work with the coalition. I mean, even the agriculture minister, Kun Thamarat, is not, is a close kin to Pheu Thai and Kun Thaksin. So if they have good policies that can coordinate and create a more viable strategic economic policy, I hope Kun Pichai can do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because you were beginning also to say that the 3 deputy ministers.
Right. 3 deputy finance ministers.
Yeah. Of course, one Kun Paupum, you have to take care of 10,000 baht.
Yeah.
Right? So Kun Jalapan was like, I think Kun Jalapan is now relieved. He doesn't have to be involved with the 10,000 baht.
No, he has to. He's the chairman of the board of the Agricultural Bank.
But that's going to be cut off. Come on, Kun Suthichai. Somebody have planted that.
Really?
I have to say, this is one of the conspiracy that I don't know which technocrat, but if you put that into the program, from the beginning it's not going to work. We cannot get the Bank of Agriculture's money to do this. It cannot.
But for some reason, they sort of took the bait of whoever was suggesting this idea, because they were desperate for a way out. So somehow the bureaucrat or some of the bureaucrats suggested, hey, let's go to Thakosar, Agricultural Bank. They have a list of farmers,
agriculturists,
that they can give money to them directly, and we can then make them spend it first.
And maybe it's easier to do that blockchain.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think even using the expenditure budget at a deficit is also it's also taking a loan out. You have to borrow money.
Well,
you have to borrow money.
Whatever you call it.
So if you borrow money to pay out, to hand out, that doesn't work. I mean, borrowed money in these days, especially the present structure of the expenditure budget, the 20% that's left for investment is already in deficit. Now, if you take that money, that means you take the investment money to become handout. And there are a lot of other investment projects, as the letter of the governor of Bank of Thailand suggests, or even Move Forward have suggested. This amount of money can do a lot more things in terms of creating jobs and creating infrastructure for the future.
Why do you think the government asked Kun Anutin to announce the 400 baht minimum wage yesterday?
I think it was a campaign promise, and
but knowing that there will be a lot of objections, there will be a lot of questions.
Then they will throw it back. They will throw it back. Oh, the Thai party doesn't agree.
They've gone back on a number of promises, so many that if you go to check on the digital footprint, you don't want to look out the clips again.
But you have someone to blame, right?
You blame yourself, because all those clips were your own announcements on the election trail.
Yeah, but then they didn't know that, the bureaucracy would be this hard-headed.
No, they were not hard-headed. They were too afraid to go to jail, you know.
Yes.
You know?
I think the prime minister and the Kun Thaksin and the major parties have to really sit down if they want this country to move forward and really do a real comprehensive economic policy
Yeah.
that can move the country into the next century, not just waiting for Microsoft to come and then Apple doesn't come and all this is not.
What I'm worried about the fact that they are very happy with Microsoft coming or some promises from major tech companies around the world. Then they would distract their attention from the real hard work they have to do.
Uh-huh.
Real restructuring of the economy.
Uh-huh.
Real.
But if they don't have to do that, Kun Suthichai, in my experience, both as a technocrat once myself and a politician, they really have to win the heart and minds of the technocrats.
Yeah, how? Mm-hmm.
Well, they have to make them trust that you're not going to corrupt, or you're not going to make them do anything that also send them to jail.
Yeah, I know. But a case of the confrontation with the Bank of Thailand did a lot of damage, not only to the Bank of Thailand people, but the NASDB. Even with
the Fiscal Policy Office of the Minister of Finance.
Yeah, and all the young bureaucrats, all those educated bureaucrats, who believe, more now these days on good governance, on honesty, and on, they don't like these kind of politics.
No.
See, so
they know. I mean, they are in amidst of all this literature of economic papers, where in other countries they are now starting to, I mean, no, from what I read or what I talk to people, not every country, a lot of countries still groping to find ways, because after COVID everything changes, right? And the geopolitics change, but at least they are now starting to make inroads into trying to restructure their economy.
Right.
But for us, we're not doing that at all. We are just still thinking of the next election. The prime minister says, I'm going to win the next election.
Yeah. Oh, that was a very bad statement. And then he knew, then he corrected himself. I will help the people so that I can help the party to win. Huh? Okay, last question. What happens when Kun Yingluck returns home? It would make it more complicated.
Another set of conspiracy.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be more complicated now. You have pillars.
Well, I mean, it can be complicated because Kun Thaksin has, on one hand, has made inroads that he can do it and come back, right? But on the other hand, his political enemies already know, you're doing this, you're gonna do this, right? So his political enemies are now setting up barriers and kind of saying that, no, you can't do that. Kun Yingluck will have to come back like Kun Thaksin. I mean, according to law, right? If she wants to come back, she travels in, she goes to the court, accept that 5-year term that has already been sentenced, and then she can ask for royal pardon, which we cannot say when it will come down. Suppose if by luck it come down in a day, then that's one thing. If it doesn't come down, it comes down as a reduced sentence like Kun Thaksin. Then Kun Yingluck will go to the police hospital.
No, you're going to be so obvious. You're going to.
There are a lot of scenarios. I mean, I respect Kun Yingluck a lot because she was my boss too, and she's a nice lady. And both of them, I would like them to come home, but they have to come through all these legal barriers. And Kun Yingluck, I mean, Kun Thaksin is also now is a catalyst in ways that his political enemies are starting to set up steam and gaining steam too. if you see in the social media. So Kun Yingluck coming in, if at the wrong moment, could then create another political crisis in Thailand.
For the government and for the
For the government. For I mean, for the government and for Thailand. And Kun Suthichai and both of us, at this age, don't want to see another coup d'etat. I mean,
no.
It's so outdated.
No.
But the world is turning to the right. Every government is now more or less authoritarian.
I know.
From Netanyahu to whatever. And by November, you could have President Trump.
Yeah, I know.
So why not? This is a joke. I'm sorry.
We have learned our lessons.
Yes.
I don't think we could go back to that. And
but we have to have mechanisms, political mechanism in the democratic process, which can, kind of check and balance the power of government and technocrats and this kind of I would say reckless policies. So this is very important, but it's going to be kind of a new invention, and I hope we can figure it out. But right now we are moving straight, and to raise another issue before the end, we are moving straight right into a constitution crisis with this Senate elections or Senate selection. It's not an election; it's a selection, and it could cause that constitution crisis, which doesn't involve the government, but could destabilize the political scenario here, which we cannot afford. Not at this time, not when the superpowers are eyeing Thailand, not when we are caught in this middle ground. So hopefully this government get their senses together and move forward in a democratic manner. And, in 2-3 years, whatever happened, there's another general election. Move forward, could win, move forward, could not win. That's their destiny. We don't know. But hopefully whoever wins, whoever comes first, then it reflects what the people wants and let that be, This time is a bit distorted with the outgoing senators.
I know.
And the way the powers that be in Thailand try to play. So move forward didn't become, the government. But it could be a blessing in disguise, because I think, to tell you the truth and move forward, people, don't be angry at me, but they have to have more experience.
Yeah. I think that's the majority opinions of the general public, that you should have more experience and you have time, so be patient.
But we want change, right?
You want change. You are on the right track, but your house in order, learn, get some experience, and your time will come. Yes.
And I think they're playing the game very well. I mean, they're not going out on the streets. They are playing the legal game. They know they probably will lose a lot of the legal games, but they are still playing. And in parliament, at least in opposition, which is expressing opinions that are checking what the government is doing, and they're doing that position very well. So you have to give them credit on that. And with experience, I think hopefully in one way or another I still hope they can become a coalition partner sometimes, and their senior people will be ministers or junior ministers, where they can learn how to work with the technocrats. And by the time they win, if they win the next election, they'll be ready. They'll be ready to run the country.
Thank you very much, Kun Suranan. Today we have discussed all the possible conspiracy theories in Thailand.
Yes. That we can say on air.
Yeah, we can say on air. I know. We can say on air, right? Many others that we cannot say on air, but we all know that when the right time comes, we will talk about it. Thank you, Kun Suranan.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. สวัสดีครับ
ติดตามสุทธิชัยไลฟ์กับผมทุกวัน เช้าสายบ่ายเย็นมีเรื่องร้อนเรื่องวิเคราะห์เรื่องสัมภาษณ์เรื่อง Exclusive ต้องที่นี่ที่เดียวครับไปติดตามผมใน Facebook 2 เพจสุทธิชัยยุ่นกับสุทธิชัยไลฟ์และอย่าลืม YouTube ครับ YouTube ไปกด Subscribe ที่สุทธิชัยไลฟ์กด Subscribe แล้วกดกระดิ่งเตือนคุณทันทีที่สุทธิชัยไลฟ์มาในมือถือคุณนอกนั้น Twitter ไปกดติดตามและ TikTok ครับ TikTok ล่าสุดนั้นสามารถที่จะถ่ายทอดสดสุทธิชัยไลฟ์ให้ทุกท่านติดตามได้เช่นกันสุทธิชัยไลฟ์ anywhere anytime สุทธิชัยไลฟ์คือเพื่อนที่เล่าข่าววิเคราะห์ข่าวสามารถทำให้ท่านทันข่าวทุกวินาทีจากนี้ไปครับ